all know something big is coming to Hershey Park really soon, but I think it may even be bigger than we're all expecting. A new massive coaster is coming to Hershey Park for 2023, and today, I'm going to share my predictions and every bit of information I've found so far on this rumored new coaster. Hershey Park has a history of opening a new coaster every few years, but in the last bunch of years, the coasters have been getting bigger and better. Try to imagine Hershey Park without Chocolate Town, Sky Rush, and Candyemonium. You just can't. Since Hershey Park announced Sky Rush, they've been making major upgrades to the park each year, and I think 2023 is the next piece of that puzzle. Hershey Park's most recent coaster opened in 2020, and to say it was a huge success is an understatement. Since Candyemonium opened along with the brand new $150 million Chocolate Town expansion and brand new front entrance, Hershey Park has been busier than ever. In 2020, they were the most visited park in the United States besides for Disney and Universal Parks, and it looks like their attendance only continued to go up from there. Before Candyemonium and Chocolate Town, the most guests Hershey Park had ever gotten in a single year was in 2019, when they were visited by just under 3.4 million guests. 2021 was definitely their most crowded year yet, and I'm willing to bet they crushed their attendance records. Hershey Park's attendance for 2021 wasn't released yet, but I guess it was somewhere around 3.6 to 3.7 million visitors. After opening Sky Rush in 2012, Hershey Park's yearly attendance jumped up by almost 200,000 visitors. I'd be willing to bet Hershey Park's attendance went up more from Candyemonium and Chocolate Town than from Sky Rush, which is why I think they may have reached 3.6 or 3.7 million visitors in 2021. While we don't have concrete attendance data from 2021 yet, if I'm correct in my estimation, Hershey Park would have been one of the most visited parks in the country again in 2021 and would be nearing the 4 million visitor mark in attendance for 2022. Regardless of what Hershey Park's attendance numbers were, we all know Candyemonium and Chocolate Town was a huge success, and it's safe to say the park's $150 million investment paid off. Unlike other chain parks like Cedar Point, for example, when Hershey Park boasts record profits and attendance, they get even more investment poured directly back into the park. Cedar Point, on the other hand, is a chain park owned by Cedar Fair, who may decide the money is better off being used to give another park in the chain a new coaster. Or maybe they just open another restaurant at Cedar Point, the new restaurant capital of the world. When Hershey Park did so well with Candyemonium, you'd bet they'd want to invest in another major coaster pretty soon. Rumor has it, Hershey Park did a major 3-coaster deal with B&M, and they'd probably want to open a massive coaster from B&M in Chocolate Town. But they can't do that just yet, as they have two big problems. Ever since Candyemonium has opened, it's brought a ton of guests to the front of the park, and even less to the back of the park. On top of that, Hershey Park has a roller coaster in the back of the park that's gotten so rough, many would consider it their worst coaster. Wildcat is simply unbearable in my opinion, and I did not enjoy any bit of it the last time I rode it. I think Hershey Park would want to fix the issues they have with the park first before investing in another huge coaster in Chocolate Town, and that's exactly what they seem to be doing. They started off by announcing a complete redo of Sidewinder, which would become Jolly Rancher Remix for 2022. Not only that, but they'd also be opening an awesome new fly ride right beside the re-themed coaster, plus the coaster would get an all-new Mist flavor tunnel with 5 different Jolly Rancher flavored experiences. I think Hershey Park did this in an effort to bring guests toward the middle of the park and divert some of the crowds away from Chocolate Town as well as from Wildcat in the back of the park. Hershey Park can now go for 2023 and redo Wildcat into something amazing, giving people a reason to go to the back of the park, thereby spreading out the crowds even more. Wildcat is almost definitely going to be Hershey Park's next coaster, but I think it's going to be a lot bigger than you think. First, it was just a rumor, but then the chaser lights were removed and transferred to Comet. Slowly, the rumor started to build up even bigger, and eventually we started seeing Wildcat's supports all get marked up in blue. One of the trains was even taken apart, but then it was put back together, which was kinda strange. The park then removed Wildcat's photo booth, but the biggest tell of all came even later. To explain exactly what's happening with Hershey Park's next coaster, and why I think it's going to be even crazier than some are predicting, I think we gotta dim the lights. We gotta look at Hershey Park in the dark. Hershey Park in the Dark is the park's Halloween event which takes place every year during the fall. But something very interesting has been happening so far this year. Hershey Park has been teasing Hershey Park in the Dark ever since the beginning of the season with the saying, Hershey Park in the Dark is getting darker this September. Now there's so much to speculate with this and how it all ties into Wildcat, but if you want the latest and greatest updates on Hershey Park and RMC Wildcat, you're gonna want to check out Hershey Park Enthusiast's channel. He has one of my personal favorite coaster channels, and I'll link to his channel in the description below. Getting back to the Hershey Park in the Dark teases, it seems a little odd to me that Hershey Park will go to such extreme lengths to tease at the Halloween event. They literally put up posters throughout the park and even set up an entire teaser page at hersheypark.com/darker. I'm not going to break down every one of these teasers right now, but in the most recent teaser releases, Hershey Park showed a glimpse of Wildcat playing on an old TV screen in the background of one of the scenes. We obviously know this teaser is to tease a massive Halloween event coming this September, but what if it's something bigger? I've heard Hershey Park enthusiasts and others explain how they think the whole teaser ties into Wildcat, and I think it makes a lot of sense the way they explained it. Something to the tune of Hershey Park is teasing a closure of Wildcat, and once it closes, you have the next teaser which currently just says, you're clawing for too much information. And claws are like cat, which hints at Wildcat. Then there's the final teaser which right now says, watch closely, there's still more to see. Maybe Hershey Park uses that to announce the brand new RMC Wildcat. That theory definitely does make sense, but I want to take it to a whole nother level. Would Hershey Park really want to open a coaster that's just a 100-foot RMC? They've had such massive success after opening the $150 million Chocolate Town and Candymonium in 2020 that I feel like they'd want to do something big now. RMCs are relatively cheap, costing between $10 to $15 million to build. Why on earth would Hershey Park not want to spend a little extra in order to make this the tallest RMC ever and best RMC ever, beating out Iron Gwazi? By doing that, they'd be giving themselves an even crazier coaster lineup, but they'd also be getting a new tallest and best at the park, which would no doubt bring them even more success. The problem Hershey always faces when it comes to building tall rides is that they need special approval to build anything over 200 feet. They got that special approval for Candymonium, but who said they're able to get it again? Oh, so Hershey Park doesn't want to break all of Candymonium's records so soon. That's when I realized there may be an even deeper meaning behind the teaser. Hershey Park in the Dark getting darker seems to be teasing a lot of things related to underground. First it was, more will be unearthed. And then that teaser was revealed which showed a lot of scary things underground. Originally I thought this could be hinting to a scare zone, maybe even an underground scare zone. But what if it has to do with RMC Wildcat? What if this whole entire Hershey Park in the Dark has to do with RMC Wildcat? Maybe with its theme. Or maybe Wildcat will feature a massive underground part to it. Hershey Park can't build above 200 feet. And they may not want to, as it would take away the record from Candymonium for tallest coaster at the park. But what if they build below ground? Maybe that's what this all is. A tease to a massive RMC that will be over 200 feet above ground, plus many feet below ground. Could Hershey Park be in the process of building the world's first Giga RMC with 100 foot of track below ground? While I don't think it's likely we're seeing Hershey Park build a Giga RMC as much as I'd love to see one, I think they will definitely go at least for hyper territory and try to take the record from Iron Gwazi. Hershey Park isn't stupid, and after the success of Iron Gwazi, why not try to replicate that? I doubt Hershey Park would RMC Wildcat and leave it just 100 feet tall. Candymonium was so successful, and that costed the park so much more than the most expensive RMC would ever cost. Hershey Park isn't Six Flags, so I don't see why they'd want to open a smaller style RMC like Wicked Cyclone. I think Hershey Park is doing something incredible, and though we don't see the full picture yet, I'm sure once we do, it'll be awesome. The next teaser says, you're clawing for too much information. And maybe that's a hint to Wildcat closing down in early July, and then rumors going around about it potentially getting RMC'd. The final teaser though says, watch closely, there's still more to see. And I think the day that teaser will be released will be a big day. Maybe that's the day Hershey Park finally announces the full RMC rebrand of Wildcat and releases the POV. Hershey Park has been releasing these teasers about every month, which would mean the final one is on track to be released at the end of August. That's typically when parks announce new coasters for the following year, so I think this is the day the full announcement comes. Maybe when the park says, watch closely, there's more to see, they are referring to a secret underground section to the coaster that we weren't able to see. There's also somewhere in the first teaser where it says 9:17 p.m. and that's probably hinting to Hershey Park and the dock starting on 9/17, aka September 17th. But maybe that Saturday has something to do with Wildcat as well. Regardless of the exact details, I'm pretty sure RMC Wildcat is coming for 2023, and I couldn't be more excited. Hershey Park is truly shaping up to be a world-class park, and I believe this has been part of the plan all along. I'd love to get into more details on this topic and how Hershey Park is transforming themselves into something incredible, but this video is already way longer than my usual. That's why I'm going to be releasing another video on this topic where I will highlight the steps Hershey Park has been taking to step up their game and possibly even become the best park in the United States. I'll link that video here once it comes out and you won't want to miss it. Hershey Park is evolving into something bigger and you won't believe what's in store for their future.